working in the AWS and how we're gonna leverage all these technologies provided by AWS. So yeah, the first we need to know about what is VPC. So VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud, and it is the base and foundation of our networking inside the AWS infrastructures, and it gives us the ability to logically, isolate our network inside our AWS account, so that instances can communicate privately with each other without exposing to the internet. So the presentation will explain you about what is VPC, how subnets divide a VPC, and how we security groups are give permission to certain resources. So the first question which arises is, what is a VPC? So a VPC is a virtual private network inside our AWS account, which gives us the ability to create a isolated or virtual network inside our AWS account, and we can define our own IP ranges. That is also known as the CIDR blocks, classless inter-domain routing, so that our instances can communicate with each other. And multiple VPCs, we can create multiple VPCs, and they are also isolated inside our AWS account. But if we want to connect to VPCs, we can use VPC peering and transitive gateway links. So what are subnets inside VPC? So VPC is a larger network area where we can take a certain IP range like 10.0.0.0/16. So we have 416 bits reserved for the network configuration part, and the last 16 digits are reserved for the host configuration part. And to calculate the number of IPs, we have a general basic formula. The number of host configuration bits, like 2 to the power of number of host configuration bits minus 2 is a general formula which is generally used because 2 IP is reserved per CIDR block. First for is the network, and the last IP is reserved for the broadcasting messages. Like if we want to ping all the IPs in that CIDR block, so we can use that IP. But inside AWS, AWS itself reserve 5 IPs for their internal purpose. So we can so particularly for AWS, the formula become 2 to the power n minus 5. So subnets are like dividing this larger network into similar smaller networks, so we can manage them efficiently. So we can manage these IPs efficiently. So each subnet exists in one availability zone. It can be exist on 2 or 3 availability zone as well. It depends on us how many availability zone we want inside one region. And it is usually used, subnetting is used usually to divide a larger network, so we can efficiently use our IP ranges and separate our application which is internet facing, and which is do not have any kind of internet connection exposed to the internet, particularly is prohibited on those instances inside that subnet. So there are 2 common types of subnets. First one is the public subnet, as we all know that, which is the internet facing, where our web server resides, where our application's front end code resides. And then there is private subnets, where our application logic and our database code resides. Yeah, so here that's an example public subnet in which the host internet facing, when the request comes from the internet, the load balancer hits that request and distribute the traffic according to certain parameters. And also load balancer has different types of algorithms as well: round robin, weighted least connection, IP hash. a lot of algorithms as well. So private subnets inside which our application and database, code resides. Yeah. So this is about public subnet, which is I've already discussed that in the previous slide, which is connected to the internet gateway, and these resources, the resources inside these subnets have generally public IPs, which can be routable on the internet side, and it is used for load balancer and Bastion hosts. Bastion hosts is like a simple EC2 which we can connect to use our private instances. Just a simple definition of Bastion host is a simple EC2 which can be used to connect with our private instances. Then there is private subnet. No, so the instances, the resources inside these subnets do not have direct internet access. They're very secure and they are generally used for our backend logics and databases. So the key points is always emphasize this thing. Not everything should be exposed to the internet because of our security. The another thing is security groups. So security groups are like virtual firewalls inside our subnets, which control access on the basis of ports and IPs. So it controls inbound and outbound traffic, and it works as the instance level and resource level. And it only allows, we have to particularly mention that like on this port, this IP range can be access our resources, and it is stateful. Return traffic, it's automatically allowed. What does it mean is what it means is that when we allow an inbound traffic on on like port 22 for SSH, so it automatically create a outbound traffic as well, because when someone is assessing our, like, we what we guys do is generally SSH into a VM. So the return traffic is also vice versa, so it will automatically allow the outbound traffic as well. So how they work together is like VPC provides us the ability to create those networks, these subnets. So the work of subnets is to organize these resources on the basis of if they are facing the internet, or if they are kind of any private instances and we do not want any kind of access. And inside those EC2s, or those resources, security groups allows control the access of resources, who can access our resource and who cannot log in into our resources. So this is the simple flow. Like, first, when a client send the request, so it first hit the VPC. Then VPC, inside this VPC there should be the load balancer, which which traffic route the request to the subnet, which is basically used for that request. If it is only a static request, so it can be moved to the front end part. But if a client wants to retrieve some data, or put some data, so it will accordingly send those requests to the backend servers. Then there is the EC2 service, and then in the last, security groups. Then on EC2 level, we need to check, like, if the client has requested some data on port 80, so the client has authorization and authentication as well to put resources and get resources. Yeah, so this will give you a basic, essential of how networking inside the AWS infrastructure works. But there are still a lot of things: route tables, net gateway, internet gateway. We can't cover everything in one single presentation. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.